Good evening, and welcome to this virtual conversation with our current Skylab residency artist, Friday Lynton. I am Aaron L. McKinney, Executive Director of High Arts. For accessibility, I will provide a visual description. I am a caramel complexion black male with a high top haircut with blonde tips and faded sides. I have a connecting beard and goatee. I have on a red hoodie with the words Puma and the Puma logo in black print, and I'm sitting in front of the intersection of a white wall and an exposed brick wall with a green plant. I must acknowledge the people and the land that High Arts office and studio space is situated on. We honor the Munsee Lenape and Wappinger people that cultivated the soil now known as East Harlem, New York. We all know that this month is the time where most of the country highlights the vast contributions of Black Americans. At High Arts, we celebrate Black history all year. So you can find more information about all of our exciting artists, programming, and opportunities by visiting our website, www.hi-artsnyc.org. That's www.high-artsnyc.org, or on social media at High Arts NYC. That's at HIARTS NYC. We have some absolutely amazing artists coming up that you will want to keep your eye on. Of course, it takes a team to do this work, and I love to brag on the wonderful and growing staff of High Arts. So thank you, Joyous, Brittany, Eleanor, Nicole, Issa, Masood, and Kirya. I would also like to thank our ASL interpreters from First Choice Interpreting Service. This organization would not be able to continue its operations and programming without the wonderful support of funders and individuals like you. We appreciate you sharing your time and your financial resources with us. Again, visit www.hi-artsnyc.org to make a financial contribution. I look forward to seeing you soon, either in person or virtually. Feel free to like, share, and comment as you enjoy getting a glimpse of Friday's process.
Hello, good evening, all. My name is Kirya Traber. I am curator in residence with High Arts. A quick visual description. Well, you're probably seeing a lot of things on the screen right now, but I am wearing a white shirt that's buttoned up with blue earrings, wire rim glasses. My hair is in a bun on top of my head. Behind me is a wall of plants. I am a light brown skin complexion Black woman. And then you're also seeing interpretation by First Choice Interpretation Services, as well as our artist, who I'll introduce in just a second, Friday Lynton. And you're seeing two screens of our artist. One is the artist herself, and the other is a focus on her hands and her craft, which we'll get to talk about a lot more. So thank you for joining us, and hope that helped orient you to what you're seeing on the screen now. I'm really excited to introduce Friday Lynton, who is a Brooklyn-based Guyanese-American metal artisan, most acknowledged for conceptualizing elaborate metal objects / sculptures for the body and home space. So if I could bring Friday a little bit forward. How you doing, Friday?
Hi, feeling good, feeling good. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Will you just tell us really quickly, where are you in the world and what are you doing with your hands right now?
Okay, so I'm currently located at the High Arts Building, which has been my creative home for the past month, I believe. And I'm currently working on my very first, what I call an atmosphere. So it's a large scale metal landscape. And I'm adding some metal links to the atmosphere, particularly this brown area represents like the
Amazing. So cool to be in the process with you, which is very much the focus of this particular exhibit. So one thing I want to let folks know right away is that as your bio states, you've been so far working mostly on the body as canvas. And so there's something different happening here in this space. I want to get to what's happening here, but let's back up a little bit. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you got into metalwork and what your experience has been like over the last 10 years, I think?
Yeah, it's been 10 good years, 10 long years. So my original inspiration comes from my dad. He has been working in metal crafts as an iron worker or welder or metal artist since before I was born. He received his first opportunities to work within metal when he was just like 19, 20. So this is his life's work that I've kind of taken on as my life's work. The work is a dedication to him and everything that he's done, as well as, just my love for this material overall. So that's the foundation of how we got started here. It's the inspiration.
I love that family connection. That's so powerful when it comes. And how old were you when you started sort of witnessing his work?
Well, it had to have been, or I had to have been maybe about like 5 or 6, somewhere around the very, formative years of a kid where you're trying to discover how things work and, what your interests are. And I feel like you're at your most creative at that age, right? Because you're so open and free and willing to experiment with things. So at that age, I remember my dad he had founded a metal workshop called RNA Ironworks, and him and my mom used to consistently like kind of like run the operations there, and he would weld, and my mom would take me there just like it almost felt like a field trip day. Like we would pack a lunch, we would go, and then we would kind of like sit in the office and eat and hang out. And then there would be times where he would allow me to be in the same space as him as he would weld and like work on a lot of projects. So I remember him giving me like, a welder's hat. I know it wasn't small. I know it was probably huge. Probably took over like half of my, yeah, like the whole thing. And then like telling me to stand way over there, like all the way, in the corner, because he would tell me, you was looking at the flame. He would give me like the whole rundown, but here I get close. I wanted to like see with my eyes. I was super intrigued by everything that he's doing within that space. And yeah, that's where it all began. That's where it all began.
And so it sounds like your dad was working like mostly with hot metal,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, and you're working in a very different style. So
Yes.
can you talk about how you found your own style and then how it got you into fashion?
Okay. So Yeah, as you mentioned, literally just now, my first 10 years as a metal artist focused on my study of metal's relationship to the body. And it was a natural thing because I went to school to study fashion business. I was always very intrigued by couture and that end of the industry, the very elaborate gowns and, the pieces of garments that were art and that told stories and that took artisans like months to create. That was something that I was interested in. So when it came time to me to figure out as an artist what my medium would be and my material, metal was already subconsciously a part of my life. And I wasn't ready to take on exactly what my dad was doing. One day, waiting for him to teach me everything I need to know. But chainmail was interesting because it just it appeared as armor, especially in the medieval movies that I would watch with him, and it just I don't know, it just looked so interesting on the body. So I spent a lot of time trial and error. I believe it was maybe like the first 2, 3 years just teaching myself and practicing and getting frustrated because it wasn't exactly how I wanted it to be, but continuously trying over and over again. And yeah, just practicing patience with it.
I want to pause you there for a moment because so I was first introduced to your work because actually our very own Joyous Pierce wore one of your pieces to an event.
Yes, ma'am.
She described it first. She says, "I'm wearing a metal thing that covers my torso," and I was picturing like a sword, you
Right.
know. And then she wore it, and it was so fluid
Mm.
and so much more organic looking than I
Mm.
had expected. And I'm curious about um, yeah, was that a happy accident, or did you know, like, if I manipulate this way, I can mimic the form of the body? Like, how did you get to that kind of style?
Great question. It's interesting because of the process when it comes to me making metal for the body. Um, it's usually not done on someone's body. It's usually done in a very like flat dress form. Not that many curves, just like boop, boop, enough for you to get the idea of what someone's body would look and feel like. But there has been like something really special about discovering and rediscovering my process in that way. It's still something that I can't fully explain, but I know for a fact that I feel like I've come to at least one conclusion from that 10-year study is it's not the metal that's the sculpture, it's the body that's the sculpture, right? And the metal just complements and like the way it lays on the body, it just enhances the sculpture that you already brought to the table. So that's something that I figured out recently. It took me some time to come to that, but it makes sense to me now.
That's incredible. I want to lean into that a little bit. Something I noticed you talking about, and maybe we'll talk about a little later. Um, Part of your work is to work with younger folks and have apprentices. But one of the comments you made in a previous interview was about inviting people to come into the fashion industry and say your makeup doesn't matter, your outfit doesn't matter, and really, challenging. I think we mostly think of fashion as beauties and aesthetics exclusively and like certain standards of beauty, but it seems like you maybe have a different angle or interest in sort of displaying the body. And I'm wondering if anything comes up for you when I mention that.
Um, hmm. I would say my study of the body, it feels a little less about just simply the aesthetic. It has a lot more to do about this, like the spirit and the mood of the object, and not so much this is a great top because it's the right shade of blue and kind of like surface, you know. But yeah, there's depth to the things that I create for the body is what I'm trying to say, and it's just not as surface level.
Awesome. And so this is what you've been doing up until now. And then here you came to high arts and
Yeah, it's
you
something new.
been totally different. So can you talk to us? You've been a Skylab artist for, is it 3 weeks now? 4 weeks? 3 weeks?
I would say this week would close off at 4 weeks.
Okay, so you're approaching your 4th week. And did you know right away you wanted to do something different?
Um, yes, I would say I didn't know I wanted to do this specifically, but I knew that I was growing as an artist and I wanted an opportunity so badly to discover a different part of my artistry or like a new level of my artistry. I never had the time, the resources, the opportunity to actually just dedicate time strictly to that. Because a month is a pretty long time to dedicate to your art. It's a miracle. It's not, a normal thing, especially in this city. But I do believe that initially when I found out that I was being awarded this opportunity, I said, oh, I have to. It's time. Like, this is the sign. This is the sign. I have to do it. I have to try to push and create something outside of what people are, generally, how they generally like identify my work. And at first, I thought it would be like a hanging or like a large tapestry, which I'll probably revisit later on. The last piece of work that I did, I started on something a lot larger with a group of 7 women for a film that we did called Variables Pending 5, Freedom. And I thought that would be it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I kind of get that. I'm just going to flow with the tapestry. But it was like a random epiphany. I might have been at the park. And I said, I should push myself a little bit more and tap into that idea that I had about creating this like world, and I didn't know what that meant or how I would execute it, but I just knew that I had a fascination with like aerial views or like bird's eye views of locations or maps, or when you're on a plane and you're like looking down and you can just kind of see the land from a different perspective. I close my eyes and I see images of that sometimes. So I wanted to try to replicate that and just create a whole new world of my own, with little creatures that exist within the space called kiatis, these little guys.
Oh,
Uh,
wow.
yeah, humans don't live on this land, okay? It's just the kiatis, and they roam and they're wild and they're free to live their lives here. But yeah, I wanted to recreate something that was special, something that felt like it tapped into all parts of my imagination. And here we are with this large atmosphere, larger than I thought it would be.
I'm asking my colleagues if we can zoom in, get the biggest window to be on your hands for a moment on what you're doing. I want the audience to really be able to see this landscape. Yes, there it is. Incredible. So you can sort of see, audience, that those small circles, if you have that ability to see that detail, those are what make up chainmail. If you've seen knights in shining armor, underneath their armor is chainmail typically. And here you're using it as like mimicking landscape and creatures. And I see like a forest almost in the background there.
Well, yes, this is the Arctic forest. So the temperatures are very cold over here. And this part of the land is the Arctic lands. Right here we have a little wheat field, and we have some green mountainous area, some dirt, all the blue or streams of water. And what I'm doing right now is I am kind of solidifying it in its space, in its place. So I tried something super new this time, something that I was never comfortable with, but I weaved a lot of it with the traditional chainmail pattern. And then a lot of it I kind of scattered. I've never been open to doing that before because I always told myself that's lazy. You have to weave everything. But it felt good. It felt good to kind of, not have that like, or to remove that control or that like, give yourself some freedom to just kind of experiment a bit. So right now I'm using some really strong industrial glue to just get it onto the surface so that can move around a bit.
That's a great segue to talk a little bit more about your process in this piece that is now named an artist in her process or something very close to that. And so there's this sort of meta experience of you when experiencing the exhibit. I got to go today. I walk in and there you are working, literally in process, and then around you, as I see behind you on the wall now, are images of your process, which include some pictures of like inspiration before. Your father, I believe, is up there, and then also some maybe inspiring images that led you to this, and some notes to self that are like in a beautiful handwriting. Um, and and then also one of the things I love the most, and we'll show the audience this later as well, but for now I'll just describe it. There's a table where well, I am an artist, but where a guest can sit and try your method, which is really cool and challenging.
Okay.
But I'm noticing what you said about there's a freedom you're allowing yourself in the way you're making, and then there's a freedom in the way you're allowing yourself to exhibit, in that you're really allowing people into the experiment. This is me in process. Here's what it looks like in from different angles. Why don't
Absolutely.
you try it also with me?
Absolutely.
It's bold, it's exciting, it's vulnerable.
Yeah.
When did you come to this concept of really inviting us into your process?
Um, Good question. I would say maybe about a week in, the idea of how I would exhibit started to kind of fall into place. The name came first, an artisan and her process. And while I was working with the new atelier manager at FBF Meta Atelier, I mentioned to her that, the buzzword is process. Like, we're just going to go there. We're going to give a full overview of what it is like for me personally to create this art, and give people a sense of, my thought process, give them a sense of some audio of how I think, what I'm thinking about, or what I have been thinking about for the past month. Give them some background about my dad and his metalwork and that influence on me. So that's why, let me see, back there, over there. It kind of guides you through as you walk through the exhibit. It starts off with where the inspiration came from pre-high arts, which was Beacon. I love Beacon, New York. I think that it is one of my peace and happy places. And a lot of the mountainous just areas and just everything about it, it influenced a lot of this work. And I actually got started this little section right here. I started while I was in Beacon, just a tiny little part. And then it flips over to my dad, and I found some really cool old pictures of him within his first metalworking job, and a few notes. And then it goes into really close-up shots of different sections of this atmosphere. And then it gives you some information about it. It gives you information about the symbolism behind it. And it also dives into my plans of how I plan on reconstructing certain things. So I thought it was important for the audience to come in and to watch me work, but also see how my mind works. Like, I can't, I don't know why, but I can't just like sit still and just work on this for hours. If an idea pops in my head, or like, oh, I had to take a note of that, I would literally get up out this seat and I'd go put notes on the wall. And throughout the time of the exhibition for the past 3 days, it's been ever evolving. And I thought that that was pretty cool, because the people who came in for the very first time slot of the exhibition, they had a completely different experience than the people like you came today. So for you, they are notes on the wall. There's, things have shifted around. So you're seeing something completely different. And I like that. I thought that was really interesting. And I think that that is very true to someone's process, because it's ever changing, it's ever evolving. it's never the same thing. If you go to an artist's space, you may watch them start a painting, and then you come back a month later, it can, could be completely different. So, yeah, I thought that was super important to have the guests be immersed in audio and visual, and most importantly, the interactive tool station where you can sit down and you're provided with a pair of tools. And it is a one person seat because I wanted you to also feel how I feel when I'm working alone. There's like a peace and tranquility to that. So there's these little like yoga men doing yoga poses, and it's very calming. Little cactuses over there. So it's you're just sitting and you have these tools, and you can look back and watch me working, and then just kind of dive into your own inner artisan. And yeah, that's really special. It's been special for me to like look up and like look at the people and see how involved they are. Like, you got it. That looks good. And then lastly, I did not interact with the audience that came in, specifically because I had my music in and I was like in my zone, and I wanted it to feel very authentic of me being in my zone. And two, there's so much power in silence sometimes, as far as when you're experiencing something, it's okay to just like be in your head and experience it, and gather your own thoughts. And you don't need someone to lead you through what you're feeling. I wanted people to be able to do that for themselves.
And yet I would say, while you didn't verbally interact, you're offering so much of yourself and then inviting folks to participate. So there's quite a bit of interaction on another level.
Absolutely.
And that's something I wanted to check, that the audience heard. You mentioned something, Fubai, you said FBF Metal Atelier, which is something you founded.
Yes.
It's a design house for metal-based artistry to provide a creative community where both aspiring and skilled metal artisans could learn, create, and grow together. So there's something about your practice and process that is always about an exchange, both in terms of teaching and learning, but also you've done other performance works where people are doing the work with you, and or otherwise talking and being engaged with your work while you're making it. So there's and that's, hence the Skylab, right? So you are not just a solo maker who says, look at my pretty thing, I'm going to go fly off to Paris. But here we are together.
Right.
And I'm wondering if you could speak a little bit about what that does for you, like what you get out of those exchanges, what draws you to those exchanges.
Well, you can kind of divide it up into two similar feeling, but there's the mentorship and the teaching, and then the interacting with just the public in general. When it comes to mentorship and teaching and just passing along information, it's something that has always been inside of me. I'm secretly a teacher also, so I've taught younger kids through my Fashion with Friday Academy. And then I've taught at LIM College as well. So, and I'm a mentor to so many people. And I just feel like it's important. It's something that my parents taught me. It's something that all of my really good teachers and mentors have taught me, is if you know something, no matter what it is, you share it. Because although you may think it's not the most grandest information in the world, someone somewhere could utilize that information to help them in some sort of way, right? So mentorship is super important for me. And having the atelier grow into a space where I can train metal artisans and people who may not have even picked up tools before, but they're hopefully after today, they're very intrigued and they're like, I like that art form. It's a super old ancient art form, and it's something that we can bring our own perspective to, which is what I've been doing for the past 10 years. And people who are super skilled, I've seen some really ill stuff. There are metal artisans out there, specifically in the chainmail world, who can make amazing things. And I try to connect with those people as much as I can, because I want to build community with them and be able to work on projects with them. And have the atelier be a place where they can come to work on projects no matter where in the world they are, sort of like a creative campus almost. And then on the end of interacting with community within the work, that's always been cool because I just enjoy watching other people immerse themselves in, metalwork. It's it's interesting to see someone who has never picked up a pair of pliers for this purpose kind of dive in to it and make mistakes and get a little frustrated and like look at something that I've done and look at me like I'm crazy, like how how did you do that, and how did you have the patience to do that? And I think it rubs off on them, like teaching them patience, teaching them how to just like calmly immerse yourself into something and try something new. So on both ends, whether it be mentorship or community interaction, they're equally as important.
It seems like you're confident that it's not just the visual, again, not just the aesthetics of the piece, but also the tangible experience of the piece that is valuable
Absolutely.
to anyone who comes across it. I get this sense too when you speak about this that you almost have a sense that maybe anywhere, everywhere, there might be a secret atelier to be. Like once they come across you, they might be like, aha, and discover their craft, which is really generous. And
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're all out there calling all of the metal artisans. Listen, if you are really ill with the chainmail, FBF Metal Atelier, please contact me. I would love to do projects with lots of different chainmail artists. So
yep, please spread the
yeah,
word from
spread the
here.
word.
And I also just want to clock that brilliance. Like many of us have mentors or people we admire that we would love to collaborate with. And you said, let me make a space that they want to come to, and then they'll come to me, which is just so slick.
Yeah,
That.
absolutely. And then it won't be just about me. It's never just about me. It's about what can we create together, and then what story can we tell, or what story do you want to tell right now? So, and let's come together to make something that means something to all of us.
We have a really lovely complimentary audience who are acclaiming seeing the process or hearing your story right now, and someone who's also knows about LIM, probably a friend. Shout out to
Hello.
Ryan. I want to, in the spirit of exchange and community, I also want to invite the audience, if you have any questions for Friday, please feel free to chat them and I can share them for you. So keep them coming. I'm curious about something I didn't prep and ask you, so I'm putting you on the spot, but you mentioned about the ancient art of chainmail. And I know it, from European history, but I'm curious if you know about other histories or what might you share from your memory off the top of your head about any of the history of chainmail?
Well, that is something we have to revisit because it's still on my study. It's still something that I'm fully studying, and my history right now, just as far as metal goes back, is my dad, right? That's the strongest piece of history that I can connect with. But as far as anything outside of that, yeah, we'll revisit that. And then I'll do a whole dissertation for you
Great.
about
Can't wait.
how it connects to our culture and how it connects to, other cultures. But yeah, still figuring that out myself.
Yeah, making a note
Yeah.
to continued. So let's talk a little bit more about some of your inspiration. You mentioned Beacon, New York. You were born there, is that right?
Oh no! Oh my God!
No, you visited.
I can't. I don't think Brooklyn would enjoy me saying that I was born in Beacon.
My bad.
Well, I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, specifically Brownsville, Brooklyn. My entire family and lineage is from Guyana, South America, so West Indian. And yeah, Beacon is a place that I discovered 2020, like towards the end of 2020, because I really needed, I mean, as we all needed, just like a breath, like needed to catch a quick breath. And it was a space that I went to. It was fairly new. And I stayed within a home that's owned by artists as well. Shout outs to them, they know who they are. And they were super welcoming. And I was like, this feels like a home. This feels like it could be a space for me. And I've literally gone back like 3 times within the past year and a half since that. No, yeah, year and a half since that time. So love Beacon, but wasn't born there. May live there at some point. Who knows?
I wanted to ask more about it because you mentioned the natural. So part of when one is visiting the exhibit and reading about what your work is, there's something about first you want to explore, metal in the body, and now you're exploring metal in the environment or the ecology or physical world. I'm curious about how that's playing for you now, and maybe a little bit more about Beacon specifically.
Okay, yeah. So I would say that thought, or you could call it like a daydream or a dream in my mind of creating this larger atmosphere, it grew while I was in Beacon because of that atmosphere, because of that land, because of how mountainous, where I stayed was super close to the mountains, and just like sitting inside of the apartment and looking outside and seeing that there's something so euphoric about it, and then walking, you walk up the street, there's like a river stream or the river path, and it's very ethereal. And it influenced this because I needed to be in nature consistently to kind of open up my mind to create nature almost. Being in the city, you don't really see this. Well, you don't see this. You have to be, I don't know, maybe like in the Bronx, like up, all the way up to even get a little hill or a decent hill. So yeah, it definitely, going there helps me to expand my imagination. It helps me to kind of like calm myself, meditate a bit, and get into, I guess, a very meditative state to be able to create this art. So that's where the Beacon influence comes in for sure. I'm sure that I can travel to, or will travel to, many places that have these very vast, like larger than life, God made structures like mountains and canyons and such. I'm looking forward to that. And I feel as though every time I visit some place, the work will reflect that. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. We've got 2 audience questions. One person wants to know how to get some of your wearable art. Is that something you're going to continue to do after this?
Yes, absolutely. I can't leave that behind. It's I still close my eyes and see visions of like white metal gowns and like all sorts of things, that I want to see on a body. So I will never leave that. I'll probably take short breaks, but I saw someone ask where. Well, you can go to FBF Metal Atelier, ATELIER.com, FBF Metal Atelier on Instagram, and as well as Twitter, all the socials. But if you specifically want, well, a lot of the clients that we have, they come to us because they know that we can provide something that's a one-of-one metal object. And when I create, like the piece that I created for Joyous, entitled The Joyous Path, ... It has a really long name. These metal objects, they are family heirlooms. They are pieces of art that you have and you wear, and then your kids can have and wear, and then your great grandkids can have it. And it's something that makes them feel closer to you. All of the objects created in a story or with a story. So I sit down with clients and ask them, well, how are you feeling? Like, what brings you joy? Where are you right now in your life? Tell us a little bit about you on a more personal level. And myself or my apprentice, Shelly, shout outs to Shelly, we would start working on something that is closely connected to align with that person and, who they are and where they are in that very specific point in their life, just so that, 20, 30 years from now, when their great grandkids can look at this object and look at the piece of paper that tells the story about their, their elder. It's something special. So yes, fbmetaaatelier.com and also Instagram, same thing.
Awesome, thank you. I think those are posted in the comments as well by our team, so check back if you missed that. And then one other question, someone wants to know if you're ever going to go back and teach at LIM.
Who is this mystery person? Show yourself.
It's Meg.
Meg. Meg is one of my students. Hi, Meg. Yes, I definitely, LIM is a great institution. I went there for undergrad. I consistently come into the space, give what I can, and then go out into the world and learn some more, and then come back to the space and, provide what I've learned. So LIM is, I feel like, will always be a part of my life in that type of way. And yes, I will be back pending. I'll let you know for sure. But I know that I'll come back with a really fresh perspective and have learned so much and have grown so much. And to me, that's a really important part of teaching and mentoring, is allowing yourself the space to go out into the world and learn so that you have something more to give. And it's not just the same old stale lesson, over and over again. Yes, love LIM. Hey, Meg, how you doing?
Awesome. Got some fans and followers. Well, thank you so much, Friday. I want to give us an opportunity, the audience who might not be able to join for another sharing, to get a peek of the exhibit. So I'm hoping one of my staff members might be poised, co-staff members, to support.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do the tour. My collage of inspiration. Gotcha. Oh, we don't have a mouse.
Tell them to take out all the cameras, please.
Okay. I'll dance. The sound is on.
Take out all the cameras, please. Take out all the cameras, please.
Take out all the cameras. Okay. Starting again. I know. Yeah, I need the phone. That's what she said. I know, that's why. Okay. Sorry. All right, we're ready. Okay, so moving into this collage that I created with some notes and showing you some of my dad's older photos, him in his first metal work, him standing next to some metal that he's created, like a guardrail, and then him at the metal workshop that he founded, I believe in late 80s, early 90s in Brownsville, Brooklyn. And then shifting over to where a lot of the process begins. So as we were planning the exhibition, I wanted to map out where everything would go, as far as the tool wall, the intro wall, the projector, the speakers, all of that stuff. It's important for me to have notes because that's how I function. I need to write my notes down. So this is just an overview of those notes. Um, and we have a nice little up close portrait of one of the areas of the Arctic waters. This was a very early stage of the work, 26th of January. So she's pretty, she's a pretty old snapshot. Random selfies around. That's how I was feeling that day. This is also a larger piece of the work. This is earlier than what I just shown you guys. Yeah, this is like one of the first iterations of the work while at High Arts. A lot of notes that either have plans or questions that I have, like the wheat field is next to the Arctic lands. Question: does this harm the wheat fields? Does it make the land less fruitful? Um, and then this is something that I really enjoyed doing throughout the exhibition is creating this map of the first metal atmosphere. Um, the blue ocean, the licorice canyon with the water stream, Rue Cave, the Arctic lands, the Green Mountains, the rainbow fields that's coming next, and the Sunshine City, which is surrounded by yellow, and the center and the focal point is black. And then Groovy Lane. So many things to do. And then we have some more portraiture of the work up close. And this is from the perspective of those tiny little catties that live on the land, those tiny little slug slash mollusk um, creatures. So everything is very larger than life. So you have the Arctic forest, you have these hot pink lava stones, the wheat field again, and just a lot of notes in regards to expansion of the Arctic forest, make the trees shorter with distance from the center. And then shifting to this side, you have a nice little mixture of the team, the people who just helped this journey, made this journey so easeful. So Shelly again, aka Skeeta. This is my apprentice, my first apprentice. Um, Jules, who is also an amazing artist. She is the new manager of the atelier. And then we have this working pick with myself and the High Arts team, Joyous and Aaron with the Godly Hand. And also our production team, Chris and Steph, these two amazing young men who every time I've needed any sort of production within the past like couple months, they have been there and they are amazing. Thank you guys. Um, an up close image of this super large blue ocean catty. You also have some personal notes, a breakdown of what each thing is. So just explaining them and breaking it down into, some of the catties are seers, some are feelers, and depending on how the eyes are set up. So this one you see right here, the eyes are pointing downwards. That means it's a feeler. So it spiritually feels its way through the atmosphere because it can't physically see. But the seers, their eyes are pointed up and they move throughout the atmosphere based upon, aesthetic. Like, ooh, I like how this looks. Let me go over here. But for the feelers, they don't exist in a space that's not spiritually aligned with them. So yeah, that's the Catty study. And just a little little funny collage there with the inspo image of the iconography. Shout outs to Levi for taking that original photo that inspired the actual logo. Oh yeah, many years ago. And at the end, you have this very little these personal notes, kind of like diary entries or journaling that I did throughout a couple of days to just talk about my journey, my high arts experience, and how appreciative I am of the universe for granting me with the opportunity to do this. It's been life changing. So yeah, that's a part of been a part of my study. So throughout the time, I would come over, write some notes, go back over to the object, or come over to this table that I have here. Then I have some of my tools on, some extra glues. Pharrell with the metal wig. Pharrell, hit us up. We would definitely make a metal wig for you. Um, some energy from Most High, Change the Mood, mosthigh.com. And yeah, just some extra metal swatches. And of course, pieces from the Arctic forest. And this is where I would come to gather my tools, to get some markers, or to remember to change the mood. Yeah, this is the space. And we cannot forget about the most special girl in the room, the plant pot jacket, which is very new to the atelier. It's a part of our new home collection. She's really special, and right now she's holding one of our atelier babies, who's very sad that she's not in the space, but she's in a good space. High Arts is a really great space for her. So she's like, okay, it feels good here. I could be here. Yeah, so that has been a large part of the experience. And then the other half of the room that you guys can't see, because you got to be here to see it, is the introduction. It's the interactive table as well as the tool wall. And hopefully soon, hopefully we'll have a part 2 of this exhibition. Manifest that with me. And you'll be able to see it once that happens. But yeah.
Thank you so much for that personal tour exhibit.
Of course. Of course.
With the teas. We don't get to see it all unless we can come visit. So the final hours are, I believe, are tomorrow, Friday, from when to when?
From 12 to 3.
12 to 3 tomorrow, Friday, the 11th. So you have a chance if you can get up to High Arts, or if you're down the street, run on over. There is a place to register, which I'm sure someone will put in a banner brilliantly across the screen. But in the meantime, I just want to thank you so much for your generosity. I did want to name again, because you wanted to make sure that we reinforced it, that you are a Skylab artist and have been having a great time at Skylab, is what I've heard. Awesome.
Yes, the experience has been, as I mentioned before, life-changing and phenomenal. It provided me with the freedom to create something like this, because honestly, if not for this push and this opportunity, who knows when this would have came out of me. It may have taken another year or 2 for me to completely focus on this work. So yeah, I do believe it was divine timing, and I'm super grateful for the High Art staff, because all of you have treated me, just with the utmost love and respect, and you guys are amazing. So thank you so much to High Arts. Thank you so much to the team here, Joyous, Aaron, Brittany, Eleanor, Issa, everyone. You guys have been just phenomenal. Nicole, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Friday. We're so glad to have you enlivening our space with your really unique work and your invitation for us to be in process with you. So thank you everyone for tuning in and for joining the conversation. Please come check out the work if you can tomorrow. Otherwise, check out Friday on all the socials and websites, and check out more about High Arts, and feel free to visit us and make a donation if you feel so moved, so we can continue to support more Skylab artists such as Friday. Just want to thank you all, and happy Black History Month, as we said, which is every day in High Arts. So keep it
black. Yes, absolutely.
All right, John. Thank you again to First Choice Interpretation Services as well.
Thank you everyone for watching.